Hello, hello, hello. Here we are. It's Ladies Diary again, first Wednesday of the month. And welcome. This is a place where we can take a breath, speak our truth, and sit with the kind of conversation we don't usually make time for. There's no judgment here, just honesty, sisterhood, and space to feel what we feel. Last month, we had an amazing first show, and man, I am so excited for this one too. I have yet another beautiful panel of amazing women that have been inspiring me since day one of my YouTube career, really. And I feel so blessed to have them here with us tonight. I just want to say, I've been making a list and I have so many people I want to reach out to and invite to the show. And I want to give equal opportunity to each and every queen out there as well. So if you would like to be on the panel, I've made sure and put all the email addresses to all the wonderful universe that I am a member and a huge fan of. The Iron Sharpening Iron Universe and Big Jack Storytime is absolutely the best place to be right now. So we have so many shows coming your way. If you want to be on any of these panels, please grab that email address and send us a little email. Let us know what you'd like to do. Okay. We have BJack at Big Jack Storytime Guest and at gmail.com. And then we also have BBTV, which is BBTV Productions 1 at gmail.com. And then we have our newest member, Miss Mama Lions, Davina Wright. It's Davina, okay? Davina Wright Lions at gmail.com. Y'all make sure and send us an email. Now, we're going to settle on in here, and I think I need to get my wonderful co-host up here to join us. Are you ready, ladies? Let's go. There she is.
Hey,
how are you?
Fantastic. I'm so excited about our second episode.
Me too. This is amazing. I'm so excited. And we got a great panel of ladies again.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that lion that just brought you in here, lady.
Love it, love it, love it. It's so me in every way. It's so me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's those eyes. I'm telling you, it's those eyes.
Okay.
Right.
My face is going to be sore from smiling and laughing.
Well, that happened last month, and guess what? It's okay. We're going to do it again.
That's right. That's right. Let's do it.
Definitely. Now, I have a great panel of ladies, and I do have Miss. One of us is having a little bit of issue with her sound, but I think we're going to fix it out up for her. I'm tongue tied. I'm just so excited. I'm ready to go. Are we ready to bring our ladies? All right. Pull up a chair, honey. Hello.
Oh, hello. How are you? I had to call my son and ask him how to do it, but now I know how to do it.
Yay! All right, we got it all worked out.
You know what it is? I work in a school, so I can never have any phone calls, so I always just shut it off. I never have my ringer on.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay.
How is everybody? I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We're glad you made it, honey. That is so great. So here I have my beautiful panel of ladies. I'm so excited to have you here. I know I told you a little bit about the whole plan. We read letters. We discuss how we feel because we've all had these situations one point or another, right? With, I believe, we have a couple of different cancer awarenesses, and then we have diabetes and Alzheimer's, which I know there are a few of us that have had that experience personally. My husband has diabetes, and he does have family members that had Alzheimer's. Grandmother actually passed from Alzheimer's, or complications because of, So I want to get right into this, but let's say hello to the panel first. And if you could, and we'll start with Echo, just give me a little bit about you.
Well, I'm 62 years old and I've been on YouTube a little over 3.5 years. And I love getting to know people. And I know everybody except for Mama Lion. So this is a good experience to get to meet her.
Yeah, likewise. Looking forward to it.
All right, Ellen, can I get
My name is Ellen, and I've been on YouTube for a year and a half. And when I started my channel was with my husband. I had taken care of him for 14 and a half years. He had brain cancer, and he had passed. And this is really my first live that I ever done.
Thank you.
And that's it. But I'm just discovering myself again and having to get through it without him.
Absolutely.
And we're here to help you through that, baby. We are
Thank
here to help
you.
you through it. Okay. All right, Mary.
I didn't want to cry.
Hi, I'm
It's okay.
Mary from Blessed to Crochet and Blessings Through Connection. And I focus on connection and deal with chronic pain on a daily basis. I have a husband who has diabetes and a daughter who has diabetes as well. So, and a dad who had dementia. So, very familiar with all of
There
those.
you go. Yeah. Okay. All right. First, I wanted to say, Ellen, honey, I want to tell you right now, this is the place to let all those tears out, because eventually we're going to help you make those tears happy again. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was really, really good. And I went to physical therapy just a little while ago, and somebody was asking me why my knee was the way it was. And it was from lifting my husband so much that I have bone to bone.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why I'm feeling this way right now.
Well, that's okay. Hopefully we can make other people feel better as well as you, honey. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. I'm so glad you're here, honey. I think we had one drop out, but she'll be okay. She'll be back. There she is. See? Always running right back in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our first letter. We do have some banners here to help you because I talk too much, okay? I want to make sure that we know what's going on here when it's going on. Now, I've got diabetes awareness, signed, tired, but trying. This is what I got here for the first letter. And, oh, sorry. I feel like it's organized for some reason. And I don't want to put that up in front of everybody's face. Hello to the chat. I want to make sure and get in there and say hello. And thank you so much for being here. If y'all would like to shout anybody out real quick, you're more than welcome. This is a conversation. It's not a show. That's how we're doing this. Pardon me. Got my water, Mama.
I got my water too.
Good.
So do I.
Hydrate. That's what Mama says.
That's right. Hydrate. Very important.
Very, very. All right, ladies. This first letter comes from a woman who's been doing her best to support a loved one living with diabetes while quietly dealing with her own symptoms. She's finding balance between caring for someone else and not really losing herself in the process. Okay. Dear Lady's Diary, I never thought my life would revolve around blood sugar numbers, emergency snacks, and that constant fear that sits in the pit of your stomach when someone you love looks a little off. My husband was diagnosed with type 2 5 years ago, and since then, diabetes has become the third person in our marriage, an unwanted roommate who won't move out. I tried to stay strong for him, but I'd be lying if I said the late night shakes, mood swings, and doctor's visits don't wear me down. Goodness. And now that I'm starting to have my own symptoms, I'm scared. I don't want to burden him with my fear when he's already carrying so much. Some days I feel guilty for being tired of planning meals, managing medication schedules, and really tired of watching him beat himself up for things he can't always control. And I hate that part of me that wonders what our future will look like if both of us end up needing care. I love him truly, but I miss the simplicity of life before numbers ruled everything. Signed, Tired. And anybody can chime in whenever you're ready. This one's kind of rough because, my husband, he does have type 2. And I'll tell you, recently he had a heart attack because he was not taking care of his diabetes. And the heart attack caused the left ventricle to become blocked, the widowmaker. I've talked about this before, but not really to this extent. It was scary. It was so, so very scary. Mostly because we had a show very recent, right before that, of a lady and her husband, and the day after her husband had a heart attack and passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it slapped me in the face big time. The thing about it is, though, is my husband could have prevented that heart attack. I could have prevented that heart attack if I had taken better care of him. So I see what this lady is feeling. I mean, I feel it deep in my bones, because what if? What if I wasn't here when this happened to him? What if?
I'll
What do
just say that I've been diagnosed for 28 years. I'm sure I was diabetic well before I was ever diagnosed. But the thing about diabetes is it can't be cured. It has to be managed. And the complications of your kidneys and your heart and your eyes, all of that takes time to start developing. So when you're first newly diagnosed, the symptoms that you're feeling, you don't feel like they're life threatening. You don't feel like this is a serious disease to deal with. However, when you don't take care of the symptoms and get that blood sugar under control, it all is a cumulative type of thing. And one thing with diabetes, a lot of people, and I was one of those, that I was in denial. It was like, it's not that bad. It's not that serious, and I tried every diet and ended up being on insulin, 2 shots a day and a shot at each meal. And I was basically maxed out on what medication they could give me. And so a little over a year ago, I had weight loss surgery, and I've lost 103 pounds, and
Wow.
I'm now completely off my diabetes insulin. I'm still taking one diabetic medication that protects my heart and my kidneys, and I probably will take that the rest of my life. And I do have some complications with my eyes. I have little tiny bleeders in the back of my eyes. So I have to go every 4 months to the eye doctor and have them check to make sure that my body is reabsorbing that blood so that it doesn't affect my vision. So far, it has not actually affected my vision. I can't see very good anyway, but not necessarily from that. But I think it's very easy to be in that state of denial and not take care of ourselves and not do everything that we can because we don't see the seriousness in it. Now, I have no feeling in my feet and halfway up my legs. And because of that, I've had many sores on my feet. And I've had many times where I've had to be in a boot, walking boot, because I've torn both my Achilles tendons in half, because that's another thing that gets weak with the diabetes. It basically attacks every cell in your body. And so all of the tiny little nerve cells can get damaged, and everything, the further from the heart, the more damage you'll get. So it starts in your fingers and in your toes, and then it works its way from there. That nerve damage and that circulation problems, most of the time, that's not something you can repair, but you can learn how to live with it so that it doesn't make you immobile necessarily. But again, my doctor preached and preached and preached, don't go barefoot, take care of your feet, check your feet, all of that. And sure, yeah, I did. And then when I got my first sore on my foot, it wasn't until they said you could lose that foot that I started saying, oh, this could be serious. I need to pay attention to this, But to me,
Right.
it's very hard because it's not something normally that really shows on the outside. I mean, you have a broken arm, or something like that. People understand, okay, you're limited in what you can do because you have an injury or whatever. But with diabetes, it's not usually something that they really can see. And so they don't understand, and
Yeah.
fluctuation
Absolutely.
in the blood sugar it can affect your mood. It can affect I mean, I would like just, be the ugliest person ever. If I didn't eat, if, my blood sugar dropped and I needed that sugar, I would be so ugly to people. And I didn't even know that was my blood sugar. I
Yeah.
just thought I was a little bit of a bee,
As my daughter and my husband call it,
angry.
this is kind of like that angry. And I have a husband that got diabetes back in 2010, and then I had a daughter, of course, that is now grown, but she was experiencing some issues, and the doctor just said to me, she has a marker for it. It's not when, it's if. It's not if, it's when it's going to happen.
Right.
And we went to the doctor for some other reason, and he said this could be just an issue with a diabetes issue. And he said, "Can we test her sugar?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead and test it." And he got done, and she was 350. She was 13 years old, and he said, "You need to get in your car and go right to the hospital."
Yeah.
And they checked her in, and I'll never forget going upstairs. And I said, "Okay," they come up with a diagnosis, and the nurse at 12 midnight said, "Yeah, she's a diabetic." And I felt so guilty as a mother. What did I do? And there wasn't anything that I did. It was something in that she was eventually going to get and have. And of course, she's autistic as well. And one thing that I want to make a point too of saying is be very careful, because we were looking for thirsty. They're thirsty all the time. And
Yeah.
actually, she was hungry all the time. And that is also another sign of a diabetic. Now my husband forwarded that on. My daughter lives with it. It's managed, but my husband he has insulin resistant, and he's on very high concentrated insulin. He's on the Omnipod, which delivers his insulin into his body all the time, and he's on a Dexcom. So in the middle of the night, I know exactly what she's talking about. In the middle of the night, if that Dexcom alarm goes off and makes a noise, I'm awake. And I'm like, okay, he's crashing. Or if he taps me and says, "You've got to go get me a sandwich." We keep those little those little Smuckers peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the freezer, because at 4:30 in the morning, I don't want to try to wake up, because I know myself as a chronic pain patient, may take me a while to go back to sleep. So I go in the freezer, I get one of those, I put them in the microwave for 10 minutes. We have juice ready to go, and I give him peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the Smucker's Uncrustables and a juice to get his sugar back up. Because when he starts crashing, he crashes very quickly. So have snacks by the bed. So when he starts having them, you can do it. If he's starting to have where he's having difficulty, where he doesn't quite know what they're going, see if he is eligible for some kind of glucose monitoring system, because that will help to ease you as well, to be able to see what his numbers are doing before they're getting down to a level that could be dangerous or going the other way. And so thankfully he's gone down to 20. and he's still walking. I don't know how he does it, but he's not just on regular insulin, he's on concentrated insulin because his body would not take it.
My goodness. Wow.
he's-
Well, the sensor thing, I still wear my sensor on my arm, and I have an app on my phone that tells me what my number is. And I have an alarm set on it where if it gets too low or if it gets too high, it'll alert me. And I probably will wear that most of my life, even though now my numbers are really good, but you never know when it's going to happen. And you can't rely on how you feel. I used to have to prick my finger to check my sugar, and half the time I would think I would be low and I was actually high. And there were times when I was thinking, oh, I must be high this time, I would be really low. So you might treat yourself wrong based on how you think you're feeling without actually checking those numbers. And Mary brings up a good point. Every time I've been hospitalized, they always give you a bedtime snack, which is usually milk and like half of maybe a tuna salad sandwich or a turkey sandwich or something like that. And I always thought, well, this is so weird. Why are they giving you that, before you go to bed? But it helps because naturally your blood sugar dips at night. And so this will kind of counteract that. But if you're not used to doing that, you could go too low at night while you're sleeping, and it might wake you up and it might not wake you up. So, that's one of those things that you have to really, and another thing, your sugar can skyrocket first thing in the morning without you having eaten anything. And a lot of people are under the impression that the sugar is based on what you eat. Right. There are so many other factors: stress, whether you're dehydrated, if you have any kind of an infection. I mean, there are so many things that can contribute to those higher numbers. And people think, well, I saw you eat some sugar. That's probably why you have blood sugar. It's not just what you eat. It's so many other things. And that's hard for other people to understand.
Well, and we found out better that if we had those Uncrustable sandwiches, even if you make your own, but if you had them, it was better for him to have that because he was getting carbs, he was getting protein, he was getting sugar, which stabilized it. Instead of just throwing a cookie at him or something like that, it was giving him more to be able to stabilize and regulate the sugar.
Right.
Have peanut butter crackers, have something,
and that's
not
you gotta
just
have the protein
sugar
with
based.
It.
Okay, I'm curious. Which side of diabetes are we talking about here? Like regular insulin diabetes? Are we talking about? Oh gosh, now the name has escaped me.
I have type 2.
Hypoglycemia.
Type 1 or type 2.
Yeah. Right. I have
but
type 2.
Hypoglycemia.
That's low blood sugar.
Backwards. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but you can become insulin dependent with type 2 diabetes as well. Now, most of the time when you are a type 1 diabetic, that's something they discover in childhood. And that's where your pancreas does not make any insulin whatsoever. So you have got to have that insulin by injection. But with type 2, like Mary was saying about the insulin resistance, that's how a lot of people become type 2 diabetic, is because they have something that is causing them to be resistant to their own body's insulin. It's not necessarily that you don't make enough insulin or you don't make any insulin. It's just that your body doesn't use your insulin properly.
Right.
And then you can have your pancreas just go out completely to where you no longer make any insulin.
My daughter was diagnosed as a type 2, even though she was diagnosed at 13. My husband is a type 2. Now, I want to caveat this with something that probably none of you have heard before, because this is another part where I heard about in the letter, is I know what it is like to have to caretake. Now, I'm a chronic pain patient, so I have my own struggles every solitary day. But he has something also that is called Klinefelter syndrome. Klinefelter syndrome means that he is an XXY individual. He has an extra chromosome, which
Mhm.
means that he most likely shouldn't be here. 60% of all Klinefelter's patients don't make it to term. His mother did not do prenatal care. She hid the pregnancy. So she was a young teenager. And so the fact that he's even here is a miracle. But that
Yeah.
also led into probably why he has the insulin resistant diabetes, why he has the weak muscles. He's, in his 50s, close to being 50, on a walker. And so that all contributes to why there are so many health problems. And of course, then I do the best I can to caretake. We live with my mom who helps because I
Mhm.
have my rough days as a fibromyalgia patient. And it's okay to feel like I wasn't planning this. I wasn't planning to be disabled at the age I am and have a walker myself and, have a cane if I need it, have my days and not be able to work. I didn't envision it either. And
Yeah.
not for him either.
Right.
It's
Right.
okay to feel like that. And,
Absolutely.
there's nothing wrong with having some therapy of your own to have someone to talk to
Mhm.
because these are not bad feelings that you have. It's not like, oh my goodness, how dare I feel this way?
Right.
No,
Right.
you're okay to feel that way because it
Ellen?
wasn't what you expected.
I was just saying, my sister-in-law at the time had juvenile diabetes. I believe when she was 13 or 14 years old, she was diagnosed. When she was in her mid-30s, she ended up getting a kidney from her sister, and she ended up getting a new pancreas from somebody that had passed away. And her this was from her sister. Her sister had a daughter. She was going to give her a kidney because her kidney was going. But what ended up happening was there was a tumor in her first pancreas, so they wouldn't do the surgery. And she had to go back on dialysis, and she didn't want that. She was done. And but she went through a lot, but she was really a warrior to the end,
Yeah.
with
Wow.
that. But also when you're talking about the person is saying the person that you married is not the same, no, they're not.
No.
And that is from the past. That'll never come back. And I just know with Steve, he had frontal lobe issues. So like he would say things that were inappropriate. People would stare at him and I would have to explain things. I would be in public and he could be that he could have called me an effing bitch right in front of the supermarket and I didn't see somebody in 30 years and having to explain to everybody, that he is sick and tell him to get in the car right now. So, I mean, I understand it, but even with all that negativity and everything that I went through, I would have done it again.
Yeah.
Because I love
Ellen,
Good man, honey.
I
He
can
was a very
certainly
good
relate.
man.
My mother also was unfortunately complications of diabetes is on her death certificate, and I didn't realize just how she was being impacted because
Mhm.
my mom had complained of diabetic neuropathy for years. Her legs bothered her. She was always complaining of pain, but she also ate everything she wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And also
Shout out
played,
to grandmother.
I call it playing Russian roulette with the medication because that's
Mhm.
what she was doing. But she passed last year, January 4th, and just right before her 80th birthday. And I didn't the thing that I remember most about all of this is that her complaining about her pain for so long
Mhm.
and learning to live with it. But in the end, it was a real wake up call for me because I felt like uh, there was nothing I could do for her, absolutely nothing. And when I say I relate, Ellen, her maybe last couple of years, she's pretty hard to get along with, really, really hard to get along with. And I know a lot of it had to do with the pain.
The pain.
The pain was just there was no, and she'd say, I want to eat what I want to eat. I'm going to die anyway. I want to eat what I want to eat. And she'd have her candy and she'd have different things, but then she'd prick her finger. She'd do the ins. I mean, she had like a system. But the thing that took my mom out is the fact that she fell living alone and
Mhm.
was on the floor outside on the patio overnight in January.
Mhm. So
Well, actually, it was December. I'm sorry, she passed in January, but it was in December, so it was very cold. And so when I think about that, and I think the thing that people, our listeners especially, will probably get from this, hopefully, I'm always the one to point out the lemonade, right? So
Mhm.
there's lemons. We're going to talk a lot about things
Mhm.
obviously that are sour, that are lemons. But when I think about the positive side of this, is it has to be the education. It has to be what we learn, and the information that we share with one another.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my mom, your husband, there are people that definitely succumb to this horrible disease. But at the same time, there are so many people out there now that are searching for information, that are looking for help. And so having a panel like this and having this discussion, I think we definitely want to keep in mind, what can you do better? And I've already heard some really good things, but if I could go back and I had better knowledge, I probably would have been able to support my mother better. And so I think this is a great discussion for that reason. So I'm all here for, what can help our listeners.
Mhm.
And I think you have to be your own advocate. I remember going into the hospital,
Mhm.
and the nutritionist came to see my daughter and myself. And mind you, she was already autistic and ADHD, so I'm thinking, not one more thing I have to deal with, because now I have to deal with a special needs child having diabetes and doing the blood sticks and all this kind of stuff. And I remember the nutritionist came in, and she just started in on me. And it was the second visit that she came in that there was this lady who was trying to help us navigate my daughter. She had her service dog at that point and all this stuff in the hospital. And she actually went up to the nutritionist and she said, "Ma'am, you have to stop," because I was in tears,
Wow.
because she just made me feel like, you got your child McDonald's fries. How dare you? And I'm
Oh.
like, she gets a small little fry every Friday because it's routine. It's part of the autism part of it. She made me feel so bad as a parent. I was in tears. And that advocate that was there to help us took that woman and said, "You have to lay off.
Mhm.
This mother can't take this."
There
And
you go.
so
Good for
I
her.
was thankful for that. So
Mhm.
if you can't do it, you've got to have people around you that are going to step in and
Mhm.
and be your advocate and be there to see things you couldn't, because I couldn't stand up to her. I was too emotionally exhausted at that point, and realizing our lives are going to change forever.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mary, you're right. Community is everything.
Yeah.
Picking the right community, being a part of the community. And so many of us have online connections, just as all of you have met each other. There are very good communities on this topic. So that's super important.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I know when I started my journey, I thought the doctors were God, and I always trusted them, believed everything they had said or done. And over the years, just being in, taking care of my husband, him being in and out of the hospital, I realized that I had to be an advocate. And, people aren't always right. And I really fought for him. But the only thing I can tell you is, if you ever feel a certain way, you need to stand up for yourself. And it doesn't matter, because my husband had over 50 surgeries, and with the anesthesiologist, you always see the same people over and over again. It always seemed like this one anesthesiologist, he always give my husband too much. And when he would come out of it, he would always be so bad. It was always a complication. And I remember we were having the surgery. He walked in and I said, "I'm sorry. I need somebody else. He's not doing it." And that was it. And I fought and I did, and I have no regrets about it. I have no regrets. I stood up for my husband, and I took care of him. And that's what you really have to do. You can't be like, "Oh, poor me, poor me." You have to be, I hate to say aggressive, but you have to be vocal. And really, if you feel a certain way, don't let anybody talk you out of the way you're feeling or anything, because there was many, many times where my husband would get sick or something would happen, and I know what was wrong. And I'd go to the hospital, say, "Well, he had this, this, and this. He has a blood clot. He's having this. He's having problems breathing." I was like a nurse. I was never qualified for anything. But over the years, you learn, like your husband, I knew his body. And that's basically for anybody. what disease or diagnosis you have to make sure, like, don't trust, and not that everybody is bad, but don't trust anybody. You have to figure it out and find out what's right for you and your, spouse, your mother, your father. And let me tell you, you got to live with it. And I lived with it, and I made some regrets that I wish I would have done differently, that I could have pulled my husband out of a hospital and put him someplace else. I didn't move fast enough. And then after, he never walked again. So, I mean, those are things that I have to live with myself. But at that time, you get so tired all the time, and then you sort of let things go. But you really have to be on top of it,
Well, and not only that, but they love you and they are thinking about you. So not only are they having, they're having the physical strain and stress, but that mental
Mhm.
thought, your husband's thinking about you as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I figured that out. I remember spending the night at the hospital with my mother in the room, and in the middle of the night, her saying, "Please, my legs hurt," or whatever. And I'd get up and I'd move the pillows, or I'd do whatever I needed to do to try to make her comfortable in that moment. And one night she said, out of nowhere, she said, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "For what, Mom?" I mean, and she wasn't really doing a lot of talking because she was in so much pain. And she said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry." And I'm like thinking, she's saying she's sorry because I'm, she feels like she's inconveniencing me.
She's
And
a burden to you.
yeah, like she's being a
Yeah.
burden.
You feel that way though. You do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
and that's
feel
not what
like
it
you're a
was.
burden.
Right, right.
And-
And
and-
so we realized that. So in addition to advocating, now we must be stronger. And
Mhm.
to your point, and like what Mary said, I mean, if you already also have physical ailments, I mean, I'm next in line. I've been pre-diabetic forever. I don't know what that pre means, but I know that it's enough to try to keep me on the straight and narrow with my diet and trying to exercise. But the point is, you're there for that person, and so you're going to lose some sleep, and you're going to go through those things. But I can't, I'm sure, Ellen, you did everything
Yes.
the best, and you made a difference, and that's what's key.
And I can tell you from somebody that wakes up with pain, goes to bed with pain, and the only time I really don't feel it is when I'm asleep, is what? Pain changes you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It truly changes you. And
Mhm.
my channel, or this channel, is there to help mama, but I use it for connection. And my therapist has said it is so good for you, because when I'm doing this, I don't necessarily feel the pain. Now, when I get done, I'm going to go get ready for bed and take it easy because I'm going to hurt. But
Mhm.
while I'm doing this, my focus is I'm hurting because that's my everyday, all the time. And we had a recent doctor's appointment, and one of the things my husband has to take is testosterone because he has a very low testosterone level with the Klinefelters. And I literally walked into the doctor and I said, "Now we've been playing with this for past couple of years." I said, "Either you all find some way of being able to give him testosterone, or he can stay with you," because he was so irritable, and it also causes pain to have that. And I said, "We have to figure out a way." And the doctor's like, "I got you. We're going to do this." But we changed doctors. Instead of having his normal diabetic doctor take care of that issue, we went to a urologist because he was not working with the diabetic doctor.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "You just want to keep throwing the same thing at him and it's not working. We got to do something else." Now he's on a shot regimen, and I have to give him shots when he can't do them himself. And it's not fun, but it's because I love him. I'm going to do it because it helps him.
Mhm.
It's
Absolutely.
really
I
something
want
I
to
don't want
say
to
something
do.
about the disability part of all of the illnesses. When the person realizes that they can no longer care for themselves, or that they are going to not be able to work, or whatever the situation is, it mentally does something to you.
Yes.
You automatically feel like you're not worth anything anymore because you can't maybe earn a paycheck anymore. And that's something that most patients don't tell their caregivers they're feeling that way, or get seek any kind of help with it or anything. They just try to handle those feelings on their own. And
Mhm.
I know I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that I cannot go back to work. I mean, it was like, no, I can go back to work, and I fought it so much until I finally realized that it's not whether I can or I can't. I'm more of a risk to a company. If I fall and get injured or, heaven forbid, hurt somebody else in an accident or something like that, that's why I can't do it. It makes you feel like, well, I can't do what I need to be able to do.
Mhm.
And then when your family has to help take care of you, whether it be financially or just, medically or whatever, you do feel like you're a burden. And you feel like, why me? Why do I have this? What caused this for me to have it? And then why does my family have to deal with me in this situation?
Right.
And that
Well,
depression is so easy to just sink into that depression like, there's no hope. There's nothing that's going to change. And I'm living proof you can change things, but you can't let the doctor continually throw more medication at you and just say, you have
Yeah.
this wrong, you have that wrong, you have that wrong. So you got to take all these medicines. Because I was taking 19 prescription medications before my surgery. I now take 5. And almost every single one that I took had tremendous side effects. I had so many side effects. I thought the side effects were the symptoms of what was wrong with me. And when I got off the medication and found out that that wasn't even part of it, that was all just side effects to medication. So just because they're a doctor and just because they think this new drug is going to be the one, it's, going to help you or whatever, you have to advocate for yourself, or you have to advocate for your family members that maybe there's a better way. I mean, I don't feel like I should have had to say to my doctor when she tells me I'm maxed out on medication, I don't think I should have said, well, you think, weight loss surgery would help me. I think the doctor should have been bringing that to me and saying,
Mhm.
you are maxed out. And if we could, change some things, it would help you, and encourage me to do that instead of me saying, am I too old to do this? Can I even do this at my age? And when I met my bariatric surgeon, he was like, I operate on people up until 74. He said, I don't know what it is, but in my career, I've just made that my cutoff. That as long as they're under 74, I will, do the surgery for them. But there's so much mental to that surgery. The surgery is one little part of it. It's all the mental part of you deciding to change your life.
Echo, you are bringing the lemonade, lady. You are bringing the lemonade.
I walked with the rollator walker. I fell all the time. My shins are completely scarred up from how many times I was face down in the concrete. I had no energy whatsoever. I had sleep apnea. I couldn't get rest because I couldn't breathe. I would try to carry groceries in from the right there in the parking lot in front of my apartment. I would get in. I would be so out of breath. I would be like, I'm going to die. And I literally felt like at 55-ish, I was gonna die. There was no sense to trying to do anything because nothing was working. And everything was making me feel worse and making me feel like I just needed to stop doing everything. And then my daughter announced that she was having my grandchild. And I said, wait a minute. I am going to be here for that grandchild. And my grandchild is now 4 years old. I provided her daycare for her from day one. And I have completely changed my entire life. Now I can go to the playground with her and swing on the swing and go down the slide and, do whatever she wants. For Halloween, I actually
That is
with
some
her
stuff
and walked the whole neighborhood. And I haven't been able
That's
to do that for a
beautiful.
long
One of
time.
these days.
Yes.
One of
I'm
these
telling
things.
you, grandchildren change your life. They
They do.
literally change your
Yes.
life.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Oh,
my granddaughter just turned 3, Echo, and I can't agree more. And you are absolutely right in that I had a renewed sense of purpose when she
Mhm.
was born. It changed something,
Yes.
within me.
Yes.
And I just, Boss B, when did I turn 61? Yesterday or day before? The
Day
3rd.
before.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I
Before.
just turned 61. And I mean, my granddaughter is like everything to me. Like I just,
Mhm.
it's like a renewed sense of purpose. For
And,
sure.
It is. It
I
is.
thought I loved my daughter with all that I had. I didn't think I could love her anymore. And
Right.
then she has my granddaughter. And not only do I love her more for giving me the granddaughter, but it's like I have a whole new heart just for that
Yeah.
granddaughter.
Absolutely.
And when you're
Oh
a
my
parent,
gosh.
you have to worry about providing for them and discipline and all that stuff. And so you don't enjoy their childhood. You really don't, because you're so worried about every little thing. But when you're the grandparent, hopefully you've raised your child well enough that they're going to be doing all that worrying. And all you have to do is have all the good times and have all the love and, just be there to support them. And my daughter says all the time, you didn't do that with me when I was little, you wouldn't let me get away with that. And she always says, Granny needs to learn how to say no. And I'm like, yeah, but I can do more now because I'm not worrying about going to work and,
No.
making
You
sure.
say
I do want her to be disciplined, though. I want to,
you tell
her
them.
to be a good girl.
Tell them flat out. I know how to say no. I choose not to.
Not to.
Plain and
And-
simple. I'm going to be honest. I have a
was with
4-year-old.
She was with
almost
me, up until she started pre-K this year. She
Mhm.
was excited to go to pre-K because there would be friends because she's an only child.
Mhm.
And she went 2 days and she told my daughter, she said, I'm done now with that school. And my daughter said, no, you got to keep going. She said, no, I'll go to my granny's. And my daughter had to explain to her that your days of going to granny's, you're still granny,
Beautiful.
but you have to go to school every day. And it took her about a week for her to realize, they do different things. And, she gets to know different kids and things like that. So now she's okay with it. But when I go pick her up after school some days, she'll be standing there with this frown on her face. Like she's just devastatedly sad. I'll get out of the car and I'll be like, come on. And she just lights up and runs to me. And it's like, that's what it is. It's that bond that we have. She
It
knows when
is.
she's with me, it's different than when she's not with me. And
It is.
it changed my whole life. It really did.
It absolutely does. And every step of the way, I know I have just about the same situation, but my son and daughter-in-law, they've decided they want to start purchasing a house. So they've taken her out of the daycare that they had her in to save a little bit more money because it was pretty expensive. And they decided, now my granddaughter calls me Llama. That's a long story. But my granddaughter calls me Llama, and now she comes to Llama school, and we do crafts and we do learning, and I've started making her videos of her own and everything. So I get it, Echo. Oh my gosh, this is the most wonderful.
My daughter is a school teacher,
right?
So she thought for like a day or two, I need to put her in like a 3-year-old preschool,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. I agree. She needs to be socialized. She needs to be with other kids, And my daughter said, yeah, but you'll teach her everything she needs to know, won't you? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course I will. So when she started pre-K, she's already like done with pre-K. She knows everything she was supposed to learn in that pre-K. So now she thinks she's the teacher. She wants to teach the other kids. Like, you don't know that? I would tell you that. But the whole time I was teaching her stuff, she acted like she wasn't getting it. Like I'd say, tell mommy whatever. And she'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Then when she, now it's like she wants us to know what she knows.
There
and she'll
you
just
go.
be rattling it off, and you're like, and here you made me think I was wasting my time, doing
Crazy
all that
kid.
bullshit. But
Oh my
no.
goodness.
You know, I'm a mother of a special needs child, and I thought, I don't think she's ever going to get married. I remember in the bathroom crying because I thought I'd see other people and other, mothers and their daughters would get married, and I thought, this is never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. And it did. She got married to a wonderful man, and she was a beautiful bride, and I got to experience that. She's my only child. But one of these days, when they do start a family, she is also now a diabetic. So it
Mhm.
adds a layer of worry to me whenever that does happen.
Right.
That, are you taking your blood sugar, and are you doing this, and so forth? And, you know, she's already said when that does happen, she said they'll probably put one of those monitors on me just to monitor what her blood sugar is, because she doesn't need that right now.
Yeah.
But, that'll be a worry down the road whenever that does happen. But,
Right.
you just have to sit there going, God, the blessings that you put forward, because I thought she's never, she's not going to get married. And she did. She's a cashier, which just totally floors me. I had her in occupational horse riding therapy, and she works with horses a couple days a week and loves it. She's an amazing kid. She has her own YouTube channel, Chrissy's Cosplay Wardrobe. She does cosplay
Yay.
wonderfully. And so, and she's even said, Mom, you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2013. And she said that you've changed. And it's frustrating to me, because there's sometimes it's like, I have to real soft clothing. I can't wear a bra because it hurts too much.
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
that kind of day where I'm not going to be able to do much? Is my back not going to, act today? Right. I'm in the middle of the store and a panic attack comes from nowhere. Or is it one of those nights I'm going to have trouble sleeping? And it's like the invisible disabilities, diabetes, fibromyalgia, autism, they all look like, oh, she's got herself together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
No, I live with my mom because there's days, Mom, I need help. I need help doing the laundry. I
Mhm.
need help cooking,
Mhm.
because everything hurts and everything is so sore.
Mhm.
But you have to find some kind of positive stuff, whether it's crocheting, keeping your hands busy, opening up alive and saying, okay, guys, come in and have the support and connect and grow. If I can help facilitate that, then
Mhm.
that's great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what
Because
they say. The
otherwise, you're sitting there
easiest way,
going, I'm hurting and don't want to do anything.
Yeah. My
the
mom.
easiest way not to feel bad about yourself or your own problems is to help somebody else. Because when you're
Absolutely.
helping somebody else, you're focusing on them and their problem, and you're no longer thinking about your problem.
Because as a mom, when I had her as an autistic child, nobody understood me. The parents were the worst. Nobody took
Yep.
me out and said, can you tell me about your daughter and her life? Nobody would call and say, how are you doing today?
Mm.
Are you struggling today? Did you go through a 3-hour meltdown with her today? What went on? Why don't you go to these parties or these parties? Because she can't handle that. Why does she need a service dog? It doesn't matter whether she need one. That service dog was life changing for her. It was
Mm.
$15,000 worth of investment, but it was worth it. My husband needs a diabetic service dog, $25,000.
Wow.
My goodness. My goodness.
So, I just have somebody sitting with me, like we have the communities now we have on YouTube, saying, hey, I'm struggling. My daughter just had a meltdown. I'm a tired mom. I'm a tired caregiver. The day my dad forgot my name as a dementia patient,
Mm.
I didn't have all that. It was a very lonely time. And I thought, I don't want that. I want a place where people can come. And this is why we have this.
Yep.
It's so true.
Absolutely.
Mary, I'm curious, what was the school system like for you with your daughter?
We were in she went to a Christian school till she was about in 7th grade.
Mhm.
And it was pretty good. But I remember she was in maybe 5th grade, and we got into a meeting, and of course I didn't know what I was talking about. And my daughter, teacher, 2 teachers and principal literally sat there with their eyes rolling every time I mentioned something. We spent an hour without one positive thing said about my daughter. And then she left there and went to a public school, which lasted for 6 months. And I got her into, like, at home. And I remember the first day we went into the public school system, and the teacher said to me, the principal said, "Can we talk to you?" And I said, "Sure, let's go ahead and talk." And she said, "I was just wondering, I heard you had a service dog." And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, we have a bunch of kids on the spectrum and none of them have service dogs." I looked straight at her. I said, "Ma'am, I don't care whether one or all of them have it. If that benefits my daughter, she got it. If you have a problem with it, I'm very sorry." My hope was she was going to eventually be able to take the dog in school with her, which didn't need to happen. We then took her and homeschooled her for about a year and a half at home through Connections Academy. And then she went to a very small private school that was meant for autistic and ADHD children. And that was the best high school. It was Center Academy. It was amazing. There was like 88 kids in the school. She flourished there. And I remember being my first like parent conference meeting, and we got done and I'm in tears, and the principal said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because you had so many positive things to say about my kid. They couldn't do that back there."
Mhm.
They were criticizing her for holding a paper clip because she was trying to unwind it, fool around with it to calm herself down. I said, "I'll put 100 paper clips in her backpack tomorrow.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
ever take that out of her hand. She's listening to you."
Mhm.
So it was a very difficult time.
Yeah, I asked because, well, I don't know if you know or not. I'm a middle school teacher. I teach 8th grade English language arts. And I'm always interested because I know there's a lot of educators out there who always want to do the right thing, but sometimes they just don't know what that is or how to do it. So hearing your experience is very helpful. So maybe you're saying something that some teachers that are listening, or that will listen, can learn from, because absolutely, if they're tactile and they need something, a fidget spinner or anything, then my goodness, let them have it.
Mhm.
And we actually, it's interesting you mentioned the service dog, because our front office receptionist has a service dog that comes and stays and is with her all day for her health reasons. And I mean, I think obviously there's so many different education facilities out there across the country or all over the world, and you got all different people and different behaviors, but hopefully that people who want to grow and glow, they're going to listen and take from your experience,
And I'll
because
always
it's
always
hard.
come on and talk about it to anybody that wants to listen, and
Mhm.
talk about my experience and encourage other moms with autism,
Mhm,
especially when it comes to learning what service dogs can do for those with autism.
mhm,
There was literally before and after with Jordan. It was such a drastic difference. And here's another thing when we're talking about diabetes, and there's places you can obtain free service dogs, which we could for my husband, but we would have to rehome our other dog that we're not willing to do, just because of her temperament and everything. But service dogs can be a great benefit if you can get one that's trained properly and get it free, or get the fundraising done for it. Like if my husband had that dog and he was to pass out and he was home by himself, that dog could dial a special 911 device that would alert 911 that he is home, he is unconscious, that he needs medical attention. That dog could also alert about 20 to 30 minutes prior to our best technology that
right.
he's crashing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if he's not responding, that dog could come get me. So if a dog ever comes up to you that has a service vest on and they're coming to you and there's no owner, there's a very good reason why.
Mhm,
And
Yep.
with Christina, it helped her sleep. It helped her let me know she was going into an autistic meltdown. And even though Jordan was never trained as a diabetic service dog, there were several times where he actually alerted to her that there was a problem.
Hmm. Mhm.
He was restless one night and she just didn't understand why. And she looked at him and said, "Do I need to test?" And he just sat on the bed. He wasn't going anywhere. She tested and she was 70.
Wow.
Mhm.
He was never trained for it. And he did it to my husband too. He would just sit up and bark. And then once she pulled out her tester and he tested, he was fine. He went back to sleep. Like, okay, now you've corrected the issue. But these dogs for autistic and diabetic dogs can be life changing for the individual.
Absolutely.
When did your daughter go to school? What years was that?
Was back in I have to I have to remember. Oh goodness gracious.
What year did she graduate? Usually we can remember the graduation.
Well,
year.
she graduated in 2018.
Okay.
And one thing about the fact that was good that she was actually at home through like middle school online was
Mhm.
that she had gotten diagnosed with diabetes. So we were able to help
Mhm.
and she was actually able to be home.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of situated that. But that was 2013
Okay.
and then she was 2012 when they suggested that she go and try to do
Yeah.
homeschool. Because I said to the vice principal, I said, can you just do me a favor? I said, can you take my daughter out of the lunchroom and put her in a quiet room and have her eat lunch and see what she does the rest of the
Yeah.
afternoon? Oh, she's just fine. She's making friends.
Mhm. No, the reason why I ask is because I'm an
Yep.
aide in the school and I've been doing it for 22 years. No, more than that. Yeah, about 24 years. So that's why. So when I go back and I remember 24 years ago and what they did and what they do now, I actually work for lunch. I go to a room for some kids if they need it to have a quiet space and eat their lunch. It's totally different from when it was back then and how it is today. So that's why I was just wondering.
I wanted her to do the experiment. Take her, put
Yeah,
her in a
yeah.
quiet room for
You're
a
very, very smart and you fought for your daughter and that's good.
And she refused. She said she's making friends, she's talking, she's doing just fine. I said, "Can I come and witness it?" She goes, "No."
That's terrible.
Yeah, I
There's
would-
different laws now, different laws. Because you can, go after the board.
Ellen's right. If a parent goes to the school board, that changes everything.
And I see that more and more things people going after the board. I mean, like you have to do everything. And
Yeah.
from where I was from years ago, it's just a different ball game of how you do it. But I do see that some parents, if you're in a class and your child has a learning disability or something, sometimes the parents are not nice to the other children. You know what I mean? The children with that, and they'll be like, "Oh no, don't talk to this one or this," and they separate them, which I think is horrible and makes them feel a certain way. I understand. I can't even imagine what you went through, but I can imagine.
She
I
didn't
get
get
it.
invited to birthday parties because they all knew something was different.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
And
get
she
it.
is an amazing, young lady. She's a wife, and which I never thought was going to happen. And
Mhm.
she's awesome.
That's
And
awesome.
I love her just exactly the way she is. But it wasn't easy. It was a very, very difficult road. And so my heart goes out to mothers and people that are special needs. And I thought I
Mhm.
was on that couch by myself. And if you have to come into my chat when I'm live and just put the phone down and hear a voice and know you're not by yourself, I got it. And I have met so many wonderful people. One of the people I've met on here is a dear friend of mine. I have never met. I met her through YouTube. She lives in Texas. She has an autistic son. I consider her a sister. He's like a nephew. They call me Aunt Mary.
Mhm.
But she can call me anytime and any day, anytime, day or night, and say she's having an issue or this is happening, and I get it because I've been there.
Yeah.
And you've got to find people,
Yeah.
whether it's diabetes, dementia, whatever it is, that have walked your path that understand
Mhm.
what you're going through. Because if your family hasn't gone through it, they're not going to understand it.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's
And they
Absolutely.
might have resources to help you.
Yeah.
The
Coming
sister
together.
is autistic, and I also have
Okay.
my daughter and her partner are autistic. So,
Mhm.
and they live here with us. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely something to think about because
Mhm.
you know you set these limits in your brain when you find out that your child has this issue, okay, and you think, okay,
Mhm.
like Mary was saying, you didn't think that that was going to happen for her, but these kids, they just absolutely blow our minds with how much they accomplish. I mean,
They're
Mhm.
resilient. They're
yes,
resilient. They're much more resilient than we are at times. The
tell them,
younger
Mama Lion,
people,
tell
right?
'em.
That's my word.
That is
They,
exactly it. There
they
you
can
are.
bounce back, but as long as we don't speak those things into existence that we believe are their limitations, that's
Right.
where it's tough.
That's the
We're so protective as
Absolutely.
parents. My son, ADHD from kindergarten all the way up, so many IEP meetings, so many. And then I was also an educator. But I always told him, you have choices. You can make the decisions, make good ones. And
Yeah.
I constantly had to remind him of that. But I see children all the time now, even as a teacher, where they're told you have ADHD, so you can't help yourself.
Yes.
And that's not true. That's not
No,
true. It's
it's
disempowering, you know.
Mhm.
So
absolutely.
I love what you're saying. And your daughter, Mary, she's a testament to what you can do, right?
Amen.
I always tell her that. If
Absolutely.
I had to cry because I thought she'd never get married, and then of course,
Right.
it was
Mhm.
always done behind the door because I
Right.
always said to her, "You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish."
Right.
Mhm.
Now I had to set I had to set different boundaries, which my son-in-law was raised with three other brothers and
Mhm.
doesn't quite understand the boundaries I had to put in place, but I had to do that because she needed that. She
Yeah.
wasn't ready to drive at 16. She didn't drive till she was 21 years old.
Right.
Mhm.
And there were different things put in place because of who she was, but
Mhm.
she still has just flourished, and
Yeah.
it was an amazing thing to see. Um and I'm a very blessed and proud mama, that's for sure.
Well, Mary,
Amen.
I do want to highlight what you just said. I don't want to skip past that because what you just said is so
Yes.
essential. You said if you thought those things or cried about it, it was in private. And I think that
Yeah.
listeners need to understand that it's normal to think those things. It's
Mhm.
normal to worry, especially about your loved ones, and especially when you have so many hopes and dreams for them. But doing it in private is normal. How you face them and what you do to encourage them is a whole separate thing.
Be
So I
positive.
want people to be clear and know that, yeah, absolutely, you're going to think that. I worried that if something happened to me when my child was growing up, I
Mhm.
was so concerned about, would anybody else love him the way I do? Would anybody else understand him the way I do? And now he's 28 years old, and I don't have that worry as much. But I definitely still feel like nobody on this planet is going to be for him what I am as mama.
Right.
And that's a natural thing. It really is.
Well,
Absolutely.
I did that when I remember when my dad, who had dementia,
Mhm.
and I said, God, please let it be my name he forgets first, because I knew my daughter, as an autistic child, could not deal with it or handle it.
Yeah.
And I just remember walking in, we moved them next door to us. And so we lived in like a fourplex, and we were on one side and they were on the other. I remember walking into the house and I said, Hi, Dad. He looked at me and he said, Hi, my name is Chuck. It's nice to meet you. And I said, He's lost it. That's
Mhm.
it. And I said, Dad, do you know who I am? And he goes, No. He said, I'm sorry. I've never met you before. And I said, Dad, I'm your daughter. And I don't know how I kept it together. I just kept it
Mhm.
together. I said, It's okay, Dad. And I went home and my daughter was home. I just lost it. And I thought, I will probably never hear him call my name again. I'm sure he never did.
Mhm.
But I had to keep that face to let him know it's okay, because I'm thinking, what's going on in his head?
Yeah.
Is he realizing what he's just saying? I'm in my 40s and you should know who I am. And that was so hard, you know,
Yeah,
to
of
have to
course.
face.
Of course. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's that's rough. That is really rough, and I'm so sorry. Well, to anybody that has to go through anything like that, it is devastating. It's hard. I haven't the people that I had with Alzheimer's in my life were not my direct family. My husband's grandmother, she passed away. Um, Amazing woman. I mean, she was everybody's everything, just like most of us women are nowadays, but
Right.
she was she was that traditional grandmother that, she woke up, she would not leave the house without at least some lipstick on. She had to have her football parties, and you had to come and you had to bring something and you had to be there. And if you weren't, you just did not love her. She was one of those grandmothers that was just absolutely amazing from top to bottom. And when we lost her, it was it was not it wasn't the typical thing because she was so healthy up until the very last moment. She had her faculties about her. She did just fine. She loved it when she got to play bingo. She lived in a nursing home. And she did good. She flourished while she was there, which to me was probably the most important time in her last part of her life, because she was loved there. She was treated like there was absolutely nothing wrong with her. And, I think that's what we really want to do, but we're so limited in doing that in those final moments when they can't remember your name. That's the part that kicks me every time, just to think that. And when you said that, when you were hoping that he would not remember your name first, that would be me.
Yeah.
That would be me. I would rather take that pain on myself than hand it down, especially my child.
Right. Right.
So,
Well, we always say 2013 was one of those years in this house that is literally a 4-letter word, because in 2012 my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My daughter was diagnosed with diabetes in 2013. He had shoulder surgery in 2013. They could not repair it. We decided we needed to move my parents, so we moved them. So we sold their house, moved them. He had to stop working, which he would have gone off to Publix, bagging groceries, meeting people, and having the time of his life. And so we chose to move my parents, sold their house, did all that. My uncle went in for knee replacement surgery in 2013 and passed away 2 weeks later from complications from the knee surgery. And so my grandmother, who was 94, lost her son. And then in Christmas, we all got sick. And it was just like 2013, never repeat again. I mean, it was just like one thing after another. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I walked away from my job because my daughter just needed me so much. And so all of that hit all at once in 2013. And I just remember thinking, I think it strengthened me. It was a very difficult year to get through, but I made it. I wish I had something
there it
like this to
was.
make it through, but it was
But there
quite
it
a year.
was. I heard it. I know you heard it too, Mama Lions.
I heard it. There's the lemonade.
It strengthened me.
It strengthened me. You made it.
I heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
There you go.
You
That's
just
what
really
it's all about, isn't it? Look how far that we've all come. Look at how much we've all been through. And I don't know all of your stories, but I know by looking at you ladies that you are strong, that you are the epitome of strength, because we've all have a story, and those stories, they go different ways, but they're the same too, right?
Yes. There's all entries in the ladies' diaries, right?
Hey,
You never know how strong you are until you don't have a choice.
there you
And
go.
there's
And you have to be
power.
strong.
There's power in YouTube, because
Yes.
my aunt was diagnosed with cancer in 2023. Yeah, 23. And in August of 24, my YouTube community, my mom's YouTube community got together and paid enough to fly that woman up from Florida to Ohio to give us one last hug because she didn't have the money. That was one of her wishes before she passed us from this world, that she got to see us. They got her plane ticket taken care of. We had some money for my daughter and her to go horseback riding. She came in August and we spent a week with her, and she left this world in May of this year. So if you don't think that we can do something through this YouTube, we can, because without them, I never would have been able to see her.
Yeah.
And without all you ladies, I wouldn't have been able to have this show tonight.
Oh,
And let me just say that right now, okay? Because I thought the first edition of this show was amazing, and we are I just a little over an hour into this one, and it feels like it's been about 10 minutes because it went by so quickly.
it did.
I was going to say, Mary and I have a history. We do long live streams when we get together.
I think the service dog one was like 5.5 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if I can do 5 hours, ladies, but I am loving every minute of this one, okay?
There's always another episode.
Always.
Always.
There's always
Definitely.
another episode.
We only got to one letter tonight, but we
Yep.
hit quite a few subjects. So I think this was absolutely another success.
I'm blessed to have met Echo, Mary, and Ellen. I hope to see you guys more.
Thank you so much to you too. Yeah, that would be nice.
I love it.
Ellen's going to be on my channel Saturday night at 8
Yeah.
o'clock. So y'all come by and support Ellen.
I will be
Saturday.
Thank
And
you.
we are only, let's see if I think right, 43 away from 2K.
wow.
Are you
If
serious?
anyone can help us get there, I do this channel because the revenue goes to Mama so that she
Yeah.
gets extra benefits. I just need the connection, and I said that today. to
Can
Mama,
I ask
but
one question?
we're so close.
It says stream this to your audience. I didn't stream it to my audience. So I just clicked that button and it would have automatically went there.
Yeah, yeah. You
I
can
didn't
do
know.
that for Echoes, though.
Yeah.
She'll have
Yeah. I'll send you
Yeah.
the link and you
But when
click
you
it.
do that though, do you have to touch any buttons, or once you do it'll go right to Ellen Smile? It knows automatically.
no,
Yeah,
you'll
it,
have
it'll
to.
go there, but you'll have to put in a title.
Oh,
and
forget.
you'll have to
Okay.
hit a thing. But
I'm good.
I'll help
I'm
you
good.
with it. Don't
And
worry.
I said
Call
I-
your son, honey. Call your
Someday.
son. Come over.
And I said I would crochet in the snow for 20 minutes when we got to 2K.
Oh, well, I'm
All
going to
right.
have to make that happen then. I can see that
I love
video.
that
I
channel.
want to get there by the end of the year. And
Oh.
we're also filling, the Samaritans shoe boxes.
No, you're
We're also working to fill those. We have 4 shoe boxes we're trying to fill. We did 2 last year. We're trying to do 4 this year. And that's in my grandmother's memory. So we do that every year. They're about half filled.
Okay.
So we're
That's
trying to do that too.
awesome. That is
Give it
awesome.
back.
So beautiful. Man, see, we need to share more things like that too, because people need to do more things like that. We need to remember our loved ones. We need to
That's awesome. Mhm.
bring everybody together and do
Yeah.
it, right?
That's true. Last week I had gone down the shore and I was feeling such a way because the holidays were coming. And when I was down the shore, I must have did like 7 lives, and I was with all my subs and everything. And I left there because usually when I come home, I'm driving home being like, oh gosh, I'm really upset. I don't want to be there. And I had such a smile on my face driving home. I did one more live of Wawa Coffee, and I felt so good. I was trying to do clean living. I was like, screw that. I'm going to have my, with my creamer and everything. And I had such a great week in that when I walked into work on Monday, I had such a happy face. So I really think these lives do help people, and it brings people together. And I'm very appreciative that I was able to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm so glad
you
you
so
made
much.
it in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mama
Thank
Lion?
you all for sharing stories that help other people. Every bit of what we experience in our lives, there's someone else, you can collapse the time frame for them. So this is amazing. I have some really good stuff here, and wish my mom had heard some of it back in the day. She would have appreciated it. So thank you. Keep sojourning, ladies. Keep doing what you do.
And just one more other thing for the lady that is having a thing, having the diabetes, look in to see if you're eligible for any kind of respite care, or whether your husband has, whether he has, if he was served in the military like my dad, he got service aggravated, things as well, because you need your time to step away and have a break. Don't forget, whether it's to go to the grocery store by yourself. I used to do that when my daughter was little. I'm like, I have 2 hours. What is this in the grocery store by myself? Go sitting and having a cup of coffee, going to a park, going out to lunch with a friend. You need to do that. And if you feel like your husband needs to be with somebody, see if you're eligible in your area. I had free respite care for my daughter. Maybe there's free respite care through your insurance or through some kind of military, if you served in the military, all those things. But you have to self-care for yourself, because that could bring on the stress, could bring on the diabetes sooner than it needs to be if you don't take care of yourself.
I actually did have that, but I never had used it. When I was going to use it, my son was getting married. My husband ended up being in the hospital, so I had canceled it. But it was hard to do. But I would suggest to anybody to take advantage of it if you have that opportunity, because
there's services that will help you get it.
Absolutely, yes. Because what happened was, when my husband got sick, we actually had a house and everything. I lost like everything. And I ended up going on Medicaid, and Medicaid had the services for that with the RESPA and stuff. But I ended up getting an elevator lift, fighting it for over 3 years, and he only used it 5 times. He couldn't even use it. So there's a lot of things that had happened that you fight for, that that it is what it is. But if there are services, you really have to investigate. Maybe hospitals will tell you if your husband's in the hospital or your family member is in the hospital. You can always go to the towns and find out if there is help. And anything that, we had something had broke in, I had to get bars for the bathroom, and somebody came in and put them up for free. And they do there's a lot of services, but you have to really just look for it and ask a lot of questions. And it helps, don't leave it like this, because if you're going to leave it like this, no one's going to ask for you. No one's going to tell you nothing unless you know that you can talk to someone who's going through that already. But there are things that you can do,
Absolutely.
That's good. Good stuff. Good stuff, ladies. Very good stuff.
Absolutely. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here, for sharing your stories with us, pulling the chair up and just having a conversation. These were pretty heavy stories, but tonight we didn't carry them alone. Okay.
No, not at all.
Absolutely not.
It was great to share. It released from me.
There you go. And that's what this is for, honey. That's exactly what this is for. What I want you here for. We need, us ladies, we need to uplift other ladies.
Absolutely.
We need to remember that we are the queens of this world, and behind every good man is a beautiful queen, right?
That's right.
Now I want to ask you, if you will, just hang back for a few minutes. Let's talk just a few minutes more when we get off of here. Let me sign off of here first, though. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you to the chat, everybody. Anybody want to say hello to anybody before we go?
The source is here.
Virtual hugs.
Yes,
Lots of them.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
All right. Ladies. Take care of yourselves tonight, and we'll meet back here next month, same time, same table, same beautiful Queen Sisterhood. Okay. Love you all. Thank you all. Have a good evening.